Dave Hufana here with Long Island Records. In the studio today, we have Russ Jones from the band Saving Grace. How you doing, Russ?
We're doing great. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good. Tell us a little bit about where you guys came from. We know where we are. We're in the heart of the bluegrass in Lexington, Kentucky today, and you're at our studios here. Where'd you guys come from?
Well, we come from Maple, Oklahoma. That's a little town, little community, actually, about 10, 15 miles from the Arkansas state line in the foothills of the Ozarks over in east central Oklahoma.
Very good. We, just to give you guys a little background on why Russ and Saving Grace are here in Lexington, Kentucky, they were a group that we have several different labels: Long Island Records, Infi Records, and Tranquility Records. Tranquility Records is our gospel label, and we kind of found these guys via a submission they did to our label, and then took a look and listened to them and kind of did a little background on them and invited them to come on and be a part of our family here with Tranquility Records, and did indeed sign them to a record deal. And this is the first trip they've made. How was the trip from Oklahoma to Kentucky?
That's great. It only takes about 11 hours to drive it. We took it good and slow. Real familiar country, and Kentucky's a wonderful place. It reminds us a lot of home, a lot of the east central part of the state in the hills, and we really like the people here. They sound like us. Most of the places we go, we sound real different, but Kentucky kind of sounds like we do in Oklahoma.
Well, that's good. We kind of like that Kentucky phrase. I don't have a whole lot of it. I grew up in Michigan, but I've been here for over 30 years, so I've acquired.
Sure.
And if I'm talking to people from Eastern Kentucky, I get a lot more Southern when I do that.
I can imagine.
Let me ask you something about Saving Grace. I mean, obviously we know that you guys are a gospel band, and you're signed to our gospel label again, Tranquility Records. Tell me about the beginnings of Saving Grace. How did this all come to be what it is today?
Well, we started playing music together in August of 2014, so we've been playing music with each other now for about the last 9 or 10 months. But we've all been involved in music ministries before that. I know that Marla, our singer, she has sang gospel music her whole life. She's been in churches all throughout the country. Her father was a pastor. I know that Jake and John were both raised in church and have been playing music since they were big enough to stand and walk, most likely. They sure sound like they've been playing for that long.
Absolutely.
I've been playing for the last 30 years. I've played in Southern gospel groups, played in bluegrass groups that have toured all over the United States and parts of Canada. Wrote music and mainly gospel music for, I would say at least since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So we all have what we consider an extensive history in music. It's a very non-formal history. I don't think that any of us really have had a lot of lessons other than Marla with some vocal training, but we have a lot of fun with it. We enjoy using the music to serve the Lord, and that's our main mission and goal.
Tell me a little bit about your actual ministry as far as Saving Grace goes. I know you guys have done some shows at some churches back in Oklahoma. What's the message that you guys want to bring basically to the masses, I suppose?
Well, we feel like in this common time that we live in that the message of Jesus Christ and Him crucified has been diluted by all things that surround us, especially in our nation today. The politics seems to bleed over into the ministry of many people. It also seems like that social issues are always hot button topics. And in the middle of all of that, I think it's real easy for modern Christians to forget what we really are trying to do as Christians, which is serve the Lord and do it in as free and in a most free way that we possibly can. We believe in this group that there is a definite dichotomy that comes along with our lives as human beings, that we have to live in this world, but we do not live of this world. And we believe that the mission of this band and what we want the mission of this band to be, as with any other ministry, it always should be teaching people about the love that Jesus had for us, but at the same time, making sure that we understand that we are each free to choose how we want to worship and how we want to live for Him.
Very good. It sounds like you've had a long run in the music industry from an early day. Was there an influence that when you were a little boy, your grandfather played the banjo on the front porch back in Oklahoma? Where did the music part of your life come from?
Well, to be honest with you, my family is a very non-musical family as far as instruments. My mother and my grandfather were both singers. My mother sang bluegrass music. She toured all over the southern United States whenever I was a small child, and that got me interested in the music itself. And somewhere along the way, I think I was like a lot of other boys. When you hit those early teen years, the guitar, that's something that piques your interest. And then it was just, the bass has always been my main focus, just because I think it's an unheralded instrument. And what I like to try to do when I play is I like to look at the bass guitar as a lead instrument that just plays down below. And that's the way that I like to do that. And that started with me probably whenever I was 9 or 10 years old. So it's been a long time coming.
You and Marla are obviously husband and wife. How long have you guys been married and a couple?
We've been married for a little over 5 years now. We've been, before that, we dated. We started seeing each other in 2006. So we've been together almost 10 years now. But we knew each other from childhood, because we were both in 4-H clubs together in Oklahoma, and that's how we originally met whenever we were in our early teens.
Cool. And you've got a couple young guys in the band. Tell me about those guys a little bit.
Well, they're the little horses that you have to keep pulled back and keep them reined in, because they're always ready to go. And of course, I try to keep them as unreined as possible, because I want them to be able to go and do what they want to do, and not only explore their musicality, but at the same time, it pushes the rest of us. It pushes me and Marla to what we hope is to stay young and current. We keep that vibe going within the band, because the youth is our future. They are the future of everything that we have. So what we try to do is we try to just let them blow and go, as we say in Oklahoma. I think John is an excellent guitarist. I've played with a lot of musicians over the last 25 to 30 years, and I haven't seen anybody that's been more impressive on a 6-string instrument or any other stringed instrument as John is. And Jake is my nephew, so we'd always been told that Jake could play the drums, but I didn't know Jake could play the drums. And when I first heard him play, that's whenever I knew that I know there's a little bit of an age difference here, but we got to get together and make this work somehow. And
it looks like you guys are doing it. Anything else you want to add? What's the future hold? I know we're in the studio right now. You guys have made the trip from Oklahoma to here in Lexington to start recording your first full-length CD. And by the way, that's been going absolutely fantastic. We've got a lot of great tracks that we've got, encompassed into the new CD. What's the next 6 months hold for you guys? I mean, what's the plan for that?
Well, I hope that that the Lord blesses us and allows us to continue ministering for Him. I hope that all of us are living right with Him, and that He sees that we are truly noble in what we're trying to do here, and that He will continue to bless us and lead us and guide us, and will let us keep playing music for Him, because the Lord has a way of silencing you whenever your heart really isn't in it. And what we want to make sure is that the Lord never has to silence us because we let ourselves get in the way. We want to always get out of God's way and let Him move, and we just want to be the hammer that drives the nail home.
In the studio today at Long Island Records with Marla Jones from Saving Grace. How are you, Marla?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, great to have you. You guys made the trip along with the rest of the band. We've already talked to Russ, who is your husband, from Oklahoma. Where at in Oklahoma?
A little community called Maple. It's north of Muldrow, right off the I-40 exit.
Everybody knows where Muldrow is.
Of course they do.
Is Muldrow close to anything that we may know about?
Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Fort Smith, Arkansas. Okay, that's a different state altogether. Cool. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you are the vocalist for Saving Grace.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your background as far as music and the ministry and the whole 9 yards.
Well, I was raised in church. My dad is a minister, and my mom sings with him, and was always just growing up singing church hymnals and things. And so when I got older in high school, I was in choir for 4 years and lettered in that, and I began singing solos at church when I was about 14, and been singing ever since then.
I think you told me that. Is it your grandfather that's a pastor? Or
no, my dad.
Your dad's a pastor. And he obviously, is that what he's done his whole life, has been a pastor?
Yes, besides.
What about his dad? Was he a pastor too?
No.
So he's a first generation pastor?
Yes.
So you're the lead vocalist for Saving Grace. You are married to Russ Jones, who's the bass player for Saving Grace. How did that come along? We talked to Russ a little bit earlier about how you guys met, but let's get it from the wife's standpoint of view.
Like he mentioned, that we've known each other from kids, and our counties were big rivalries for judging events. And so I was on the judging team for Sequoia County, and he was on a judging team for Wagner County. And when I say judging, that's livestock in the farming area back there through 4-H and things. And so our counties would always try to have big competitions. And we met through then. I didn't really pay him a lot of attention back in those days because he didn't talk, and I'm a big talker. And so
he's come out of that. He talks pretty good now.
He talks when he is put on the spot too. And so our lives kind of took different paths up until in 2006, and I called him up and asked him, "Hey, what are you doing?" So he said nothing. I said, "Would you like to get together and go out?" And he said, "Yeah." So that's kind of how it happened.
Well, that's cool. That's it's always interesting when people that have known each other as children, basically, and they go out and they live their lives, and then at some point in time, God calls them to come back together again. And apparently it worked out really well for you guys, because not only did you go through that process, but you ended up getting married and creating Saving Grace and spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Tell me a little bit about your feelings on the ministry of Saving Grace.
Singing and music ministry is very strong in my faith in God and the way that I believe. A lot of people can get things out of a sermon, but there are some people that just really connect with a song or words in a song, and it really moves them to increase their faith and their desire in worshiping God. And that's where I kind of always lean to. When I've had a rough spot in my life, I've always just kind of turned towards music more and be uplifted and things that way. I mean, reading the Bible and hearing a sermon is good, but there's just some things that music really just touches way down deep in a person's soul. Absolutely.
It's always been like that. For me, I've been involved in the music business my entire life since I was literally 7 years old. But I've always found that is my safe place. And that's the place that I can always go to and know that, hey, all this stuff's going on, but I can sit down and either play my drums or my guitar or sing something or write a song, and that makes it all good. So it's absolutely a great tool to spread the message of Jesus Christ, but also for ourselves, right, just to find peace and harmony in our lives. How's the recording sessions been? We know this is your first time in a big studio. You guys have done some other recordings, but obviously on this scale and being signed to a record label, Tranquility Records is kind of a new and exciting thing. How has the process been as far as you being in the studio?
It's a lot of work.
We've been asking a lot of you.
Yeah, so it's you just don't come in and sing and leave. You come in and you work.
Yeah.
Hours on one song or one phrase or one little word or just a here and there thing. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, because you've got to put your feelings and your emotion into it, but yet you're just trying to listen for that one spot to catch it and get it on key just right and in the same pitch and not mess up the previous 3 words you just recorded. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. We're actually getting ready to go tomorrow. We're going to go on location to a really scenic spot here in Kentucky called the Red River Gorge, and we're going to be shooting your first music video. And what song are we doing that to?
The Call of the Cross.
Call of the Cross, great song written by a Kentucky songwriter, Tony Stone. So we're going to be looking forward to that. We're going to talk to you a little bit later and get some footage of you guys in the studio doing some stuff, but we would love to thank you for coming in and just sharing Saving Grace with us, and we're awful happy you guys are here. And thank you so much, Marla, for coming in.
Thank you.
Hey, we're in the studio once again today with John Faulkner from Saving Grace. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
I'm good. How was the trip from Oklahoma, man?
It was all right.
All right, long ride?
Yeah.
How long did it take y'all to get here?
Well, it would have taken about 11 hours. We made it a 2-day trip. We stopped and looked around and had fun with it.
Is there a lot to look at between Oklahoma and Lexington, Kentucky?
There's some stuff. A lot of trees.
There's a lot of trees,
but there's some cool places you can stop.
Cool. And you're going to see a couple more cool places. I think tomorrow we're going to go do a video shoot at the Red River Gorge here in Kentucky, which is phenomenal. So what do you do with the band?
I'm the guitarist.
You are the guitar player. How long have you been playing guitar?
Right around 10 years now.
About 10 years. And you are from where in Oklahoma?
Muldrow, Oklahoma.
So you're from the big town of Muldrow.
Yeah,
What's the
big town.
population in Muldrow?
2,500.
2,500. That is pretty big, man. And you started playing guitar 10 years ago. How old are you now?
21.
21-year-old. So you got a pretty young start playing guitar.
Yeah.
How have you been involved as far as the church goes your entire life?
I was raised in church, and then up until 9th grade is when I started going to Maple. I started playing in their youth band, and then last August met Russ and Marla, and we kind of took off with Saving Grace.
Kind of the rest is history. Are you looking forward to? I know you guys. The band is actually going to be going into the studio, I think, on Friday to start laying down some tracks. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be a pretty fun experience.
Have you ever had any studio experience before?
We did for our demo, but that wasn't nothing compared to this.
What do you think about the studios here at Long Island Records?
They're pretty neat.
Pretty neat. Big place, isn't it? Well, we're looking forward to getting you out there and getting your guitar. What kind of guitar do you play, by the way?
Schecter.
A Schecter. So that's a little shout out to Schecter out there in case you guys are listening. The guy lead guitar player from Saving Grace is playing a Schecter. And we're excited to get you in the studio tomorrow or on Friday rather, and start laying down some tracks. I understand that are you a multi-string player? You play other things besides just guitar?
I can pick around on them, but I'm best at guitar.
Best at guitar. How about bass?
I can play bass.
You ever handle a fiddle or mandolin anymore?
No, I never have.
You ought to try that, man.
Yeah.
It's some good stuff. Anyway, in the studio again today, this is John Faulkner with Saving Grace, lead guitar player. Looking forward to what he's got coming on their upcoming release from Tranquility Records. And again, John, thank you so much for coming in the studio. We're looking forward to great things from you.
Thank you.
In the studio once again today with Saving Grace percussionist drummer Jake Green. How you doing, Jake?
Good.
Jake, where are you from?
I am from South Maple.
South Maple.
Right there by Russ and Marla. There's a creek. There's one side is North Maple and the other side South Maple. I just live right from them.
How big is South Maple, Oklahoma?
Not very big.
Can you count the people on one hand, or
Well, if you use 1 foot, you sure can.
you've got it all covered?
You betcha.
Jake, how long have you been playing drums?
I want to say about 7 years.
And you're how old now?
I'm 20.
So you got a young start playing too.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been with Saving Grace?
Since August. August of 2014.
Since the inception of the band. Prior to that, had you played any gospel before?
No, I played some Christian contemporary music and hymnals at our church. My mom is a pianist there, and she really helped me and got me started doing what I do.
Have you been in church family your entire life?
Yes, sir. Marla's dad is my grandfather.
Oh, there you go.
My dad and Marla's brother and sister, and so that's my grandfather. And my mom's dad is a pastor as well.
So you've been raised in the church your whole life.
You betcha.
What is it that you want to convey to everyone out there as far as the ministry of Saving Grace? What are you looking to share with the people out there when you get out and do your live performances and get to talk to the people at the churches and so forth?
Well, it's mostly, it's not about us going to play. When we first started, I always told my mom, we're going to go play some shows. I want to go play a show here. And she always made sure that we'd never go around telling anybody that we're playing a show, we're playing a service, and we're ministering. And so that really kind of set in from how I talk and when I say to people, we're going to play a service here, this day, this night. And just spreading the words what it's all about. It's not so much just, we're not speakers. We do sing through the song, but we don't just stand up and we don't talk and do our testimony. Our way of spreading the word is playing music and making sound, and the Bible does say make a joyful noise unto the Lord, and so that's just what we're trying to do, and spread the word through song and that way.
Jake, how have you liked the recording experience so far? I know you're going in to lay down your tracks on Friday, but watching the process, have you liked that?
Man, it's a new experience. If you ever watch videos on the YouTube or anywhere else, you're kind of not really understanding what really goes on behind the scenes, and being here doing it really shows you what goes on. It's a whole different world behind here.
Very good. Jake, I want to thank you for coming into the studio once again. We're here with Jake Green from Saving Grace. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Russ, thank you guys so much for coming in. This week has been an absolute pleasure working with you guys. I know that you're going to carry the message of Jesus Christ through the masses, through your music, and through your ministry. Thank you so much. Any parting words for everybody out there today?
Well, we just want to thank you all. The family atmosphere here at the studio and with the record label has been something that we will always cherish in our minds and in our hearts, no matter what happens. As we go down the road, these are experiences that we will never forget, and we want to thank you all for helping us do that.
Once again, Saving Grace, Russ Jones in the studio. Thank you very much, Russ.
Thank you.